because I was very young. I was 17 when I was diagnosed, and now I'm 30. I can't say it's not something I think about at least once every day still. You get challenged a lot in wrestling, and it's a nice reminder to go, I didn't beat cancer just to give up now. Mickie's someone that works so hard, and it's almost like she doesn't stop. And I've seen a side of Mickie being a mom when she's working and her son is there, and a worker, a wrestler, a businesswoman, and even a mentor. And it just blows my mind that I've never once seen her complain. I was raised growing up, though, not that because I'm a woman I won't get the same opportunities. I've never felt that way. All the good that you hear, I'm a cancer survivor, I'm this, I'm that, I grew up here, is all the reasons why I'm not Princessa. Why I'd be damned if you think you might take this from me, because I won't ever go back.
Welcome everybody to LiMPiN AiNT, the only show of its kind where we spotlight your favorite wrestling stars, lowlights that they experience on their way to the highlights that are success in the professional wrestling industry, as told in their voices through their stories. I am your handy, captivating host with the most need for a crash pad in his day-to-day life. My name is Timmy Baltimore. Hey, if you're hearing the sound of my voice, seeing the sight of my face, whether you're watching, listening, or both, please, if you haven't done so already, hop on the short bus. And you do so by clicking like, clicking subscribe, comment on our content, engage with our social medias at the handle at Timmy Baltimore. And if you're one of those people that's saying, I'll do it next time, or the next person will do it, please, this is the equivalency of me standing on the corner with a sign saying, will create content for likes. The only way this great show stays viable is if you click like and click subscribe. So just put the little thingy down there and just click it. You won't overexert yourself. I promise. Every wrestler has a story of adversity and pushback. But once in a while, a story will come along that is eerily in line with the vision I had for LiMPiN AiNT. And that's our guest this week. Hers is a story of a battle-hardened warrior who survived life or death circumstances before she ever stepped foot in a ring. Hell, before she was even an adult. Her tale is one of inspiration and reminding us that if we believe in ourselves and we work really hard, sometimes the impossible can become possible. It reminds us that the indomitability of the human spirit is a very real thing, and that if you fight and you survive and allow it, that which does not kill you absolutely makes you stronger. Hers is also a story about honoring those who helped us along the way, especially if they're not here to see us take our victory lap. Listen, I know it may seem this way, but this isn't an interview that's like a Hallmark card or some fluff piece. No. If that's what you're expecting, you come to the wrong place and you definitely got the wrong guest, because this young lady is unapologetically herself. Everything she's been through, everything she survived, she knows her worth, and she is taking life, goozling it by the neck, and giving it a choke slam straight through the mat. She is so damn good at what she does that even if she didn't have an incredible story, she would still be destined for greatness. And trust you me, she's destined for greatness. You can catch her or you may have already, on OVW, on Billy Corgan's NWA and NWA Power, and more recently, in Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, where this weekend she will be facing the two-time Hall of Famer and five-time WCW champion's wife, who's coming out of retirement to try to put her in her place. I'm talking about Charmel. But she's going to have her hands full because stand at the top of the steps looking down, it's going to be this young lady saying, "Remember me? I'm Tiffany Nieves from the Bronx." So join me in welcoming to the program La Princesa, Tiffany Nieves.
All right. Welcome to LiMPiN AiNT. My name is Timmy Baltimore, and I have a very, very special guest with me on the program. They call her La Princesa. Her name is Tiffany Nieves.
Yes.
From the Bronx, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Tiffany is a female wrestling prodigy. Only a handful of years under your belt professionally.
3.
And the strides you've made and the distance you've gone and how valuable and sought after you are is incredible. So Tiffany, welcome. Thank you for being on LiMPiN AiNT.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I could not turn down the offer. We had such a great time at Mickie J's first boot camp, I think ever, right? That was one of her first seminars she did at MCW, or
Yeah,
one of the
that
ones
was
I was able to attend at least. And when I got this opportunity and you reached out to me, I mean, I'm thankful for anyone who reaches out to me, but with my schedule, it's very difficult. And I just knew that this was something I really wanted to make time for. As you know, it was very here and there. So I'm happy we were able to make this happen.
I couldn't be more happy because you talked about that, and that is that Mickie James Masterclass was the one and only, and it's kind of funny because of what's going on in A&E, the LFG show that's similar.
So proud of her. It's very similar. And it's funny because the episode I did watch, honestly, every pop, oh, I have goosebumps, so funny. Every pop that I had in that show was from Mickie and all her little side comments and dialogues. She's so funny. And it's really cool. I even sent her a message. I talked to her, I think yesterday it was. I sent her a message at how I don't like to say the word I'm proud of people because
Sure.
it feels like I'm kind of taking credit, but I do like to acknowledge when I see someone working hard. And wait, goosebumps again. And Mickie's someone that works so hard. She works so hard, and it's almost like she doesn't stop. And I've seen Mickie from a fan being on TV, and then I've seen a side of Mickie being a mom when she's working and her son is there, and I've seen her be just a woman in general, and how she can do anything and everything with grace. And then I've seen her be a worker, a wrestler, a businesswoman, and even a mentor. And it just blows my mind that I've never once seen her complain. And that's why I feel like she gets a lot of opportunity. And I think she deserves credit for working hard because it's very easy to tire yourself out, but she deserves everything that she's getting the opportunity to work hard for, and she continues doing it. So
Yeah, I think, especially for female wrestlers who it's so weird to say because now the generation that is at the helm, like yourself, grew up watching a Mickie James, and she's so open and so real, like because she has gone through every phase from the underbelly of this industry all the way to the top. And it was a real honor as a male in the industry to be asked by a female and trusted to work with you guys because it's a different ball game for you, is it not?
It is very different.
You don't know where people are coming from sometimes, what their intentions are, wolf in sheep's clothing. So I take that very seriously. That is something, it's like, it's a responsibility that it's great to help anybody, but
right, yes,
right. But I feel like to be a female in the industry, as much as I can understand it, because I'm not one, but you guys are built tougher. You're more emotionally mature. Um, and you really have an eye on the prize that, and I'm not trying to down the dudes, but there's an eye on the prize that you guys have because you have to, because you can't slip.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, being a female in the business?
It's very emotional, even as you say it, and I maybe it's a part of me being so in tune with who I am that I can express that it's emotional. Um, but I have two brothers, so I never swayed in, and maybe that's what makes me so strong. I never grew up in a way where my dad made me aware that I was a female, ever in our house. And I have three sisters, so he was raising four girls at the time, before my younger brothers came into the picture. So getting into wrestling, I cannot say it clearly that I have not felt what other women have felt, because that's a lie. I mean, the second I got into the business, I had to deal with adversity and stick up for myself as a woman and avoid being taken advantage of. And I had to look a trainer in the eye and say, listen, I have a dad who cares for me. I don't need another one. I
Right.
don't, yeah. And because there was some crossing lines, and people will cross lines if you let them without sharing too much detail. And I had to look someone in the face who was very respected and let him know what he was doing was inappropriate. And now you have to be careful because anything can be inappropriate. And I don't think that's fair either. I wasn't raised that way. I mean, when I talk about inappropriate, I'm talking about really inappropriate,
Sure.
So I was raised growing up though, not that because I'm a woman I won't get the same opportunities. I've never felt that way in wrestling. So I think that put me ahead of a lot of women who probably got into this business going, I'm already a victim or a target. And sometimes that can make you paranoid, and that could be a burden, and you can fall into that. So when I got into this business, I never once was like, I'm a woman, it's gonna be harder for me. I never even thought of that. I was like, I'm going to get it, whatever it takes. And I held myself to a high respect. And because I am that way, I wouldn't get in the car with a random guy because, oh, it will look good because I'm a girl. I just not going to be around anyone that cannot elevate me and I can't learn something from. I have to hold myself to a high standard all the time. So I think that put me ahead, not having this mentality that I'm a female, it's going to be hard for me. And I have to be honest, a lot of where I'm at right now today, of course, I had some Mickie James in the picture, and I'm under the training and mentorship of Jazz, who was the first ever WWF. No, she was the last WWF champion, the first WWE Women's Champion. But I will say, La Princesa and Tiffany Nieves has been completely developed, pushed, and from men. My training was
Yeah.
Al Snow, Doug Basham. I've had many male trainers. I've had he's one half of the Outrunners. His name is, well, both the Outrunners. I'll give them both credit. They're on EW
Shiloh.
right now. But Shiloh, do you know Shiloh?
Oh yeah, one of my
He's
buddies.
great, and that
Yeah.
is the guy. I've got another guy. His name's Jamin. I mean, these people are my team. They support me 1,000%. Have never put me in a position where I felt uncomfortable because I was a girl. Nor did they ever put me in a position where I felt I got it because I never felt lucky, or they never took it easy on me. But they did educate me that because of my gender, there's a market that I can either capitalize if I want to, and that is
Right.
up to me. You know, and
Right.
that's all. And we play a different part in that, and I'm aware of that. I'm not going to be naive that it's any different for men or female, but I do empathize for both men and female for what they do go through, because some may say that it can be challenging for men as women can use their looks and their beauties, but there is definitely a flip coin to that too, because that eventually runs out, and we've seen what happens to women who do go that route. It can be difficult for them, but yeah, so yeah, being a woman in the industry does have its I guess you could say red flags, or some things you want to be careful with, but I think that's just life, and it's so beautiful to be able to overcome all that. So to when I look at my accomplishments, I guess it's a bonus that I'm also a female and I've done it. But I'd be lying to you if I said I'm a female who did it all on her own. I had a support of an army, a big community that helped me, of both genders, who are so generous with me.
That's so cool that you say that, and I
Yeah.
love that because I know Jamin Olivencia. Shout out to
Yes, that's
him.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Truth
Great guy.
Magnum, awesome. That what a team you have, Al Snow. Well, we've learned from a lot of the same people, and it takes a village, and it shows, because of how you've progressed. I mean,
Hmm.
I uh, met you in July of, I believe, 2023, and or was it 2020? Yeah, it was 2023. And you were leaps and bounds of where somebody with your experience level should have been. And it just shows that not only is your maturity level at a different plane, but you're also um, like a sponge. You soak it up. You see what it is,
Oh,
right?
that
A lot
makes
of a
me
lot of a lot of people get into it.
emotional.
They don't see what it is, right?
Be- because when I look at I was just trying to upload a YouTube page for myself, and I had to go back, and I went to the time of 2023, and a lot of my matches are from OVW, and it's incredible to hear you say that because I'm like, geez, I am just the craps here, and to hear you say that, I think mentally I was in a different place because I came from OVW, but you couldn't convince me that I was any good. I'm like, I don't know how, because I look at a lot of stuff now and we're always learning. So of course you look back, you're gonna see things you can get better on. But the one thing I do want to say more than just gender, the one thing I think I am struggling with, and it's really cool that you said I'm like a sponge, is because that's the best compliment you can give someone who is of my age. And I think that's something that I struggle with in this wrestling or entertainment world. And people say age is nothing. You have Penta, who just got signed at 39, and that's a dream. It's not a dream to get, it's a dream he accomplished. I would like to do it a lot sooner, but it also showed a lot of people like, hey, I really truly believe if you don't stop, there's no way you won't get to where you want to go. There's just no way. The only
There's
way
no
you
way.
won't get there is if you stop. I swear. Um, so I pray that I don't stop, and I haven't stopped. And anything I put my mind to, I haven't stopped. But the one thing that I feel is a challenge is, as opposed to someone like very young Philly Starks who got into the business very young, or Roxanne Perez, um, I can't speak for both of them, but from the outside, it almost seems like they have a lot of camaraderie in the business and a lot of support. When I got in this business, I was 27 years old. I wasn't 16, 17. So it's a weird spot for me because when you're in a ring with a 16, 17, 18-year-old and you're seeing them grow up, you have this awe feeling for them.
Mm-hmm.
When you are maybe 20 years old and you have a 27-year-old in the ring, it's an I can't explain it, but because I'm mature, it can come off different to people.
Sure. Yeah, that's
And you
really
look at these
interesting.
you can see these 16-year-olds who are humble and they're learning like a sponge, and it really means a lot that at 27, I'm 30 now, that people can see me learning as a sponge too. But the one thing is, I have a confidence about me as a woman. I've gone from 17 to 27 when I started. I learned a lot about myself. So I
Yeah.
carry myself differently. I'm quiet when I need to be, and I don't advertise my insecurities. When someone is younger, not speaking about those girls, they wear it on their sleeve, and people find that admirable and charming. But because I don't wear
Endearing.
it on my sleeve, I don't have that charming. I don't get those claps from everyone in the locker room because I go, look at this, the aura I have, and the aura isn't to be rude. It's just I stand proud of my 27 years, and so it's very interesting for me because now that I'm 30 and having a relationship with Mickie, who's more my age frame, right? But she's still so much higher than me. How do I show her I respect her, but also still be a woman as opposed to an 18-year-old who goes, oh my gosh, I love you so much. I've always, that looks weird for me to say at 28, 29, even 30 years old. I may feel it, but I can't represent myself as a child. So sometimes
Right.
I feel, I wouldn't say I'm at a disadvantage, but I'm in an uncomfortable place in locker rooms because I have this, I will claim it, leadership personality about me that I feel people look at me like, you haven't been in the business long enough to be a leader. When I say leader, doesn't mean I think I know everything. What it means, I carry myself highly and want everyone to win. And I carry myself in a way where after a match, I've learned to humbly, I just do things differently. That sometimes puts me in an odd place that I wish I had more camaraderie. I wish people were giving me the praise. And I feel like if I showed a little bit more of my insecurities, people would, feel more. It's really true. You read a book, they tell you your friends are close with you because they know all your insecurities and your deepest secrets. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when you're young, you get more into that. With time is wisdom, and I'm very wise, and I take pride in that. But I'm still so new and a baby in wrestling years. So it's very, sometimes I feel like it's very difficult for me to connect to my peers as much as I want to, um, because of that. So it's very interesting, when you're a baby in wrestling years, but you're still an adult in real life. So that's one challenge that I'm still learning.
That is like nobody talks about that, Tiffany.
Yeah, I used to
Nobody
hide
talks
my
about
age.
that.
I used to be scared. Gabe, the first 3 seconds I met QT Marshall, who was at the time um, someone who would scout for AEW, he asked me my
Mhm.
age. And I was like, oh, I'm doomed. I'm so doomed, 26. And I've had a couple conversations with people, and they have ended the second I shared my age. And that sucks. So I'm really, I'll even tell you, sorry, Billy. Billy had signed me. I've been with the company for almost a year, and we were having a conversation. I told him how old I was, and he goes, I had no idea you were there. And it made me, I remember going to sleep that night thinking, would he have signed me if he knew? I'm not saying he wouldn't have, but I know he's very interested in young talent today. And I love Billy. He's amazing to me. But that's where I thank my beautiful Boricua genetics of being Puerto Rican. And I look at this beautiful baby face. But he made a comment. Wow, I
Yeah.
didn't know that that's how old you were. And I remember thinking, wow, what is that supposed to mean?
Right.
But I think it just made sense to him. Like, okay, you know, but then it also felt like it took something away from me because it made me feel like, oh, you thought I was so mature for my age. You thought I was 22, but no, I'm just perfect for my age. Is that what it is?
Right. And that's so I think you coming from a different place, it's how can I tell you how to look at it? You look at it how you look at it. But I think it can be interpreted. It's just different because you get into this business, right? And it's like, hey, if you don't believe you're a star, how are we going to believe you're a star? But you
Amen.
better not act like you're a star before you're a star, right? so, but I think with that maturity and wisdom, the obstacles that you may encounter, I hope that there's some evening out in the sense that I don't think it's pretty easy when like you see how people get kind of mind effed
Yeah.
by hearing 10 different things from 10 different people and they don't know who they are at the end of the day and they forget what made them valuable in the first place. I
Yes.
don't see that with you. Do you
Yes.
feel that or you feel that security?
Thank you. So I experienced that my first year of wrestling. I made the biggest mistake ever was wanting to know what everyone was telling. I was so many cooks in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and the second I got to OVW, it all went away. It was amazing. It was only Al Snow and Doug. And those are two people, and I heard a lot of people's feelings. And then from there, I started to. I've come to a place, and I think a lot of wrestlers, it can be an opinion, it could be a disturbing one, but I've learned. Oh, I get goosebumps. uh, I learned a really good worker, but this is just an opinion. A superstar after their match, it's okay to be humble, but don't go around the locker room asking everyone what they thought of your match.
You should know.
You should know. And if there's anything wrong, your agent will come to you. You say, thank you for the job, how to do in my time, and that's it. That's how you carry yourself. That's it. And that's what I do. And everyone else like, oh, how to do what I think, what I think. And don't get me wrong, I love feedback. I want feedback, but I don't want it at the cost of forgetting who I am or why I'm here today. I know why I'm here. There's a reason he picked me. There's a reason I got signed. There's a reason I'm in this spot in the match. So I'm gonna be all that. And if I need to
Yep.
fix it or if I went the wrong direction, someone's going to tell me, but it's not my job to seek it. But
Yes.
but it goes back to where's the line of not seeking and coming off arrogant and wanting feedback. And that's where I decided the line is the balance is not giving a F about pleasing everyone and making sure the person who's paying you is happy. And that's what I do. And that's what we call good business.
Good
So
business.
I learned that at OVW. After my match, I wanted the respect of my peers more than the praise of the fans. And you can't confuse that. You're there for the fans and the people who brought the tickets. They say there's this quote, don't wrestle for the boys in the back. And that's the quote. So once you learn what that really means, that's how you develop, and that's how I developed La Princesa.
I could talk wrestling with you all day. We have the same philosophy. Like that is the main. There's some detriments in the industry today, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of great things that have changed. But one of the big things is at some point I feel like the majority of the performers forgot who they're performing for. It's the boys in the back. I get it that maybe like if it works, if it pops them, maybe it'll work. But at the end of the day, like these people pay their hard-earned money. They come, it's cathartic. Where else can they go in their lives to tell someone to their face they suck or they love them and not have any consequences, right? It's a beautiful thing.
And that happens in the back too. Real
Right,
talk.
right. So I think this is like I see personally, and maybe it's just because of where I am mentally, I see your approach as yes, that's going to take you so much further than if the time maybe you feel like you missed out on some things of people watching you grow in the industry from a teenager or 18, 19, 20 year old. I think the trade-off is astronomical for you, and it
Yeah, and it's a
shows.
humbling moment even now talking about it that makes me recognize, like, even though it's something I'm learning to get better at, I think it's all part of the plan. Who's to know if I got in sooner who I would be today? And there's a reason why at the age I am now, within 2 years of being in the business, I was offered a contract and I'm now signed with the NWA, which is incredible. And I think I always tell people the coolest thing that ever happened to me, I would not want it to happen again. But the coolest thing that has ever happened to me was finding my purpose when I got sick with cancer. I
Yeah,
didn't know who I was at 17 at all. I thought I was teaching an all girls private high school at the age of 17. So I thought I was well off and I was going to go play college for volleyball. And that was it. That was it. I was going to do that and just be as perfect as my dad wanted me to be. That's who I looked up to at the time, and I still do. And then cancer changed all of that. I said, "You're not doing that." And, I had to drop out of college. I couldn't complete my courses. I had a really mean professor that I told I was just diagnosed and I was in the hospital, and she was still gonna fail me, which sucked. Yeah. And I just remember one thing growing up in the Bronx was my mom was the first of our family to graduate uh, college,
yeah.
and my father at the time, we're very private, so sometimes I got to be careful, but I'm very proud of him. My father had his education up to a GED, so I knew I wanted to go to school to please my family, and it was almost like that was like growing up. I went to Catholic school. Sorry to go off subject, but I went to Catholic school, and it wasn't because they had the best education system. It was they had the best protection for us as opposed to public schools.
Gotcha.
So I remember when my parents were, since I was born, separated. So there was a point in my life where I went to move with my dad. And it was odd for me because in the Bronx, New York, if you wanted to do any activity, you had to pay for it. But in Connecticut, public school, you can just play basketball, softball, all these sports for free. You just need to be dropped. So I
Right.
remember, and then by the time I had moved with my father in seventh grade, my reading level was at a third grade reading level. And it's something I'm still so conscious about. So I remember telling myself education is something I'm going to pursue, and I remember feeling like poverty was similar with ignorance, and I never wanted to be stupid or ignorant. So I told myself I want to go to school, and unfortunately, to this day, it's still a thing of mine. So I didn't get to finish, even get my associate's degree, but it's something that I still would love and like to do. Why was I mentioning that though? There was a reason I mentioned that. Let's see. Do we
Be-
remember?
sure. So because you were talking about uh
Oh, then I
how
got sick. So
you got
it was
sick.
a blessing. So I was going to school, and my purpose was because I was a girl from the Bronx who, just wanted to show that I can have education and I won't fall into the same triumphs that my family did. And then I got sick, and oh my goodness, did it restore me in a whole different way. And then once I was healed, I went and pursued my massage therapy license and I started to do holistic healing. And this job has helped me with my entertainment career more than anything has ever. Because when
How
you're on the
so?
road and starting off, right now I'm signed with NWA, so they pay me to train, they pay me to wrestle, they pay me to my flights, and I'm able to make money to support and get the nicest gears and whatnot. But before any of that, when you're on the independence, everything, this merch that I'm wearing, Get It Got It Bueno, comes out of my dollar. My hair, my makeup comes out of my dollar. I want to make a promo, comes out of my writing. It still does, but it comes out of my dollar. Getting to the next town is on my dollar. But also having a job that can support you and really believe in you and give you the weekends off while you're still trying to pay rent, and it's like a struggling artist or a musician. That's hard. But
Yeah.
what filled in that was being a traveling massage therapists. I have a table that I put in my car and I get up and I go, no matter what town I'm in, I would go with $0, come back with $400
Wow.
because I either do, I would meet someone. I've met people back when I was in OVW, I wasn't signed. Mickie James was there. They were filming a movie that's now coming out. It's called Millie for
Mhm.
Mildred Burke for the first NWA Women's Champion,
Queen of the Ring, they called it.
Queen of the
That's what it's
Ring.
called now.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, they renamed it. I'm sorry.
they
At the
renamed
time
it.
it was Millie. I apologize.
It's
And really
okay.
cool because Emily Rickards today actually messaged me. She's the main character. Messaged me today because she's under the impression I'm still in Louisville. I have to tell her in Texas. We became friends, but the point is, Doug knew I was doing this hustle. Called me up, said, "Hey, we're filming something. We need a massage therapist on set. Can you get here?" I was there. Oh, sorry,
Wow.
Scott. I was there, and
Right.
that's where I met Mickie James. I didn't introduce myself to Mickie James as a wrestler. She met me first as a massage therapist. She had no idea. So I went in there, and one of the clients on the list is Mickie James, amongst all these actresses and actors. And mind you, I want to go into film. That's really big
Mm.
for me. So it was a huge opportunity. I'm just massaging them. And then eventually Mickie looks over there, like she looks at the wall. Is that you? And it was after the whole massage, you know? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, you're a wrestler? I said, yeah, I am. And she goes,
Yeah.
I said, I'd love to train with you. And that's when she told me about her master class. And that's how I ended up getting a spot in it because it was filling up. And at the time I didn't have, Mickie was so sweet. And I share this, but I ended up making the money and I paid for it to go. And I'll never forget, Mickie refunded me the money.
Yeah.
She's so sweet. And it's not something I go out, I don't want to upset anyone, but it goes to show how good of a person she is. But she's a woman, and she just helped me along, and I'll never forget that. But the massage therapy ended up being a blessing because I was able to create and my own work schedule, work for myself, and get clients wherever and travel whenever I needed to. So I'd get opportunities to go to AEW in Chicago. I'd get up and go. I didn't have to worry about a schedule with my boss or he'd be upset. I would just tell a client, hey, I have to reschedule, So
Sure.
me getting sick led to this career that helped me for 2 years be able to. I quit my job, I quit everything, and just literally lived on the couch for so long of all my friends until I got signed and I was able to finally get my own place and settle down. But before that, I was literally just massaging to get by and doing as many um, matches as I could to pay the bills.
And y- just talking about when you were diagnosed as well.
Yeah.
I think uh it I know, for me, I came into wrestling with a physical disability from an injury. Um it's almost like it's a different life.
Yeah.
Um does it feel that way to you? Like that was a different lifetime ago? And
Oh,
how do you carry it now?
I will say, because I was very young, I was 17 when I was diagnosed, and now I'm 30. It is, it feels like it feels so far from now, but it also doesn't at all sometimes. And it's emotional, it's hard. I can't say it's not something I think about at least once every day still. Um, I'm lucky for the days that I don't think about it. But sometimes I laugh. I'm like, wow, you get challenged a lot in wrestling, and it's a nice reminder to go. I didn't beat cancer just to give up now, and that's good. But then when great things are happening in my life, and I'm reaching pillars, there's a thought that goes, wow, the only thing that could stop me right now is if I got sick again, and that's terrifying, terrifying. But it also drives me to live every day to the fullest ever because that is real. It can come back and it can come back even at a higher rate. And yes, I do check myself as often as I could. But I got a phone call last week from my friend, a really great friend of mine, told me he had leukemia. And that put me right back in the space of when I was sick. And that was very interesting, but I will tell you, I still wouldn't change it. It was supposed to always happen. Always, as I said, I wouldn't have never become a massage therapist. I learned so much about myself. I love Reiki. I love holistic healing. I'm big into spirituality. It is why I was able to overcome a lot of things so far in wrestling. It's why I believe in myself. But I'll never forget when I was diagnosed. Um, my mom, I didn't even know what non-Hodgkin's lymphoma was, and that's what I was diagnosed with. It was a very long time. They dismissed me because I was so young and I was healthy. They didn't think anything was wrong with me until um, I had a tumor under my armpit, and no one knew it was a tumor. What was happening was my skin was peeling, it was burning, and it felt as hard as my knuckles. It was
Oh boy.
so hard. It was terrible. And
Terrifying.
I remember thinking there was a point where my dad was like, listen, the doctors are saying nothing's wrong with you, so there's nothing wrong with you. But then this happened. And I'm like, no, there's something wrong. And they thought it was cellulitis because I would go swimming in the lake. And what was happening was the tumor was forming and then eating the tumor. Like the cancer cells were eating the tumor. So they kept getting dead decay. Like they couldn't get anything from the results. That finally, a Harvard doctor decided to open me up, and they found that it was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And they came into the room, and I remember being concerned it would be breast cancer. That's what we kept checking it for, because it was really close to my breast, and it kept coming back negative, negative, negative. So when they get into the room after finally relieving me and taking this tumor out of me that was causing me so much ache and pain, I was I've never had surgery, no cavities in my life, no broken bones, never in my life. So I couldn't wait to have this surgery to just feel free and like a kid again and play volleyball. That's all I cared about. So the doctor comes into the room and goes, okay, well, I have news. It's not breast cancer. I'm like, and I'm 17 years old. I want to start my summer. I want to go back to college. I want to have a boyfriend. These are things I'm thinking about it. And this tumor is just stopping everything. So I don't know what the tumor is still. I'm like, okay. And they go, but it is non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I couldn't tell you. I smiled because I'm like, we know what it is. We got a
Right.
diagnosis. And my
Right.
mom is silently in the room like your face, and there's tears coming out of her eyes. I'm like, what the heck? And the doctor says, I'm going to leave you for a second. My mom goes, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is cancer. And she said it just like how I did. And I remember going, oh no. And I get goosebumps telling you this. And my thought was, my mom is going to die because I'm sick. I can't. Like, that moment, I never cried. I didn't cry. I was like, oh, what do we need to do to get rid of it? That's all I said. Because all I cared about was, let's get rid of it. We know what it is. And I was desensitized. And that was a really tough time. My mom had to lose her job to take care of me full time. A lot of issues happened within the family at that time, and a lot of separations, and a lot of people weren't there that I wish were. And it was a tough time for us that we got through together. But it was really tough. It was really tough. And I can tell you that is why I am the cool person that I am today, because I went through that. I feel like I can help anyone go through a lot of things in life.
There's a going through something like that it is humbling, but it's also it does give you a confidence.
You
Surviving
know,
something
I
like
will
that.
tell you, when I was losing my hair, which I thought was the most important thing in my life, it was phenomenal to see how beautiful I looked without hair. And it makes me feel emotional. But when it was growing back, I have never been so praised in my life. I got my first boyfriend ever. I didn't date. I had a purity ring. My dad, I told you, had four girls first. So he was really protective, but still didn't make us aware that we were, we were what our gender was. But he was very, very like, save
Yeah.
it till marriage kind of guy. And so I didn't even have a boyfriend. And my boyfriend, I probably dated him for a month before I told him my hair was like this because I'm remission from cancer. He had no idea. He thought I didn't want to take away that he thought it was so cool that my hair was short, like I had hair like yours, growing back. And I didn't
Yeah.
want to tell him that it wasn't a personal choice. And then I finally did. But I mean, I remember praying to God. I believe in the Lord, and I said, "Please don't take my lashes or my eyebrows." Those are my favorite things about myself. And let me tell you, I have been in treatment with many people who have no lashes and no eyebrows. And the only two things I didn't lose were my eyebrows and my lashes.
You know
Everyone
that.
was in that room like, how do you still have such thick eyebrows and lashes? And it's the weirdest, shallow thing ever. But that's how I got closer to God, because I would ask for little things, little random things, and He
Yeah.
would just give it to me. And I'll never forget, there was a time where um, your hair doesn't just fall out at once, it just starts in chunks because of the medicine, the chemotherapy. So I was trying to hang on to any piece of hair. Like I had like one hair there. I couldn't let it go. Like normally people would just get to a point where they shave it off just to get it all over with. And I remember I was just crying in the room because it was just a weird place to be a young girl and going through these changes. And you know because it was close to my breast. I had so many men touch my breast, and it was uncomfortable. Mind you,
Right.
had never had a boyfriend. So it was just a weird time, and I'll never forget. I was being treated in a children's hospital, and a little 6-year old, 7-year old who was selling lemonade came in the room, no hair, nothing. Lost it all. It was a young boy, and he said, "Don't worry." Like he didn't know I was crying. He goes, "It will grow back." And I think that's what he was told. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And that moment. And then he asked me, he's a little hustler, if I want lemonade. I said, absolutely. and and I'll never forget how this little child had so much light. And you would think I didn't cry a lot, but it was the most beautiful thing to be the old. Like it's kind of like with wrestling. I was the oldest patient in this child's, hospital.
Yeah.
How can I feel like poor me when I'm being treated next to children, who are looking at me going, "Don't worry, you'll be okay." And I'm like, "You have no idea. Thank you so much." And it goes to share this story. I tell everyone to stay beautiful because at the time there was a girl in the town next to me who again was younger than me, and my family, and I'll say it, we grew up from the Bronx, and I'm very proud of them. But my dad was one of the first people to leave the Bronx. That's a huge deal, and I respect him so much for it. But the truth is, my mom still is struggling. She is still that half. And I think sometimes when I talk about my family dynamic, I can't please both of them because I'm sharing the side of my mom's story, but my dad has a different story now, and he doesn't want to hear about that. But it's like it's my truth. It's our truth. And I'm not saying he's not proud of it, but it's hard to please sometimes both my family. But this is what happened. So at the time we were struggling. We didn't have medical insurance. I was not on medical insurance when I was sick with cancer, and that
Wow.
was tough. Okay, and so we had to. We started with resources. The resources ended up changing for reasons, and when that happened, we created a GoFundMe, and I decided that if it's going to be this hard for my healing, I'd rather just heal me holistically. I wanted to be healed holistically. I was like, I didn't have a choice to get sick. I didn't have a choice to do chemo. You guys kind of forced me. I wanted it all to stop. I just want to do this holistically. Like, so my mom believed in me, and we created a GoFundMe. And this girl that I knew from the town over, it's Seymour, I was in Oxford. Her name was Nina, 16 years old, diagnosed with, she had a brain tumor. And within seconds, she was able to raise, like, I may be exaggerating. These are not exact numbers, and I don't want to be incorrect to Nina's story. But what it felt like was in seconds, she was able to raise $90,000, and I probably had like 800 because I think she wasn't 16. She was like 15. She was young. And that was the first time I felt like I was doing chemotherapy with her, and she had a brain tumor, and I still didn't understand things. I'm a teenager. My mom was doing everything for me. Um, and it's almost not embarrassing because I'm an adult now, but I was an adult then. So when I tell the story, it's not me now, it's then. So when I
Yeah,
was
you were
sick, I didn't have
17, Tiffany. I mean,
yeah,
you
yeah,
were a kid.
right. So I was a kid,
You're dealing
and
with
I'm
really
looking
adult
at
stuff.
yeah, I'm looking at this other kid, and Nina has blonde hair, and Nina's hair is still on her, and Nina has mom and dad there with her, and Nina has the support of everyone, and Nina is white, and I'm Puerto
Yeah,
Rican, and
right.
she's beautiful, blue eyes, all everything, or maybe green eyes, blue eyes, those blue eyes, and the most beautiful girl ever. And all I thought was like, when I looked at both of us, I thought it was me. I was like, I'm not gonna make it. I don't have the support. I don't have insurance. I was staying at Ronald McDonald's for a couple of nights. Like that's like and I'll never forget one day I was in the hospital and Anina had asked if we wanted to do a charity event together. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But I couldn't make it because I was really sick. And I had goosebumps again. My dad was able to speak on my behalf there. And I was really upset I couldn't make it. And in that ceremony, she had donated $6,000 to me.
Wow.
Wow, right? And I will tell you, that $6,000, I think, is the reason I'm still alive today. 1,000%. She gave me so much hope, so much love, restored me with light. Her family took me in, my mom in, and helped us with everything. Everything. I mean, really helped us so much. And that with that $6,000, I was able to get a lot of what I needed from the juicing, the products, the NutriBullets. I wanted to see a shaman, a Kundalini, a spiritual breathing techniques. I went to Arizona, spent 3 weeks there, got to go to Colorado. And believe it or not, when I came back, I was tested for cancer and it was cancer free. I was cancer free. So I
Amazing.
had to do chemotherapy. I had to have surgeries. The next step, they wanted me to do radiation. I was like, no, 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 no. This is too intense. and we went to a different doctor, gave us a different plan. And I said I'd also like to add holistic healing. They were so against it. My mom, I love her. She passed on her delusionalness to me. That's how I ended up in this career. My mom believes in everything. So my mom was like, "We're gonna do this." My dad was like, "I don't want you to die. Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing?" Very concerned. But the moral is, um, it was almost the worst day ever because the day that I found out I was cancer free, shortly after Nina passed, died. She decided to go the route of an experimental medicine, and that experimental medicine didn't work in her favor. And that was tough because I'll never forget going to her funeral, and everyone knew I was the sick girl who needed help, and here I am alive. And I want everyone to be, I want to tell them that I beat it, but how can, I felt horrible for still being around and alive. That it became hard to even keep, like, we recently just reconnected. Not that we ever disconnected, but over time, they always reached out to me, always asked how I was doing. But it got so hard for me to be there and talk to them about how great my life was because I didn't have cancer anymore, knowing that Nina wasn't around anymore. It hurt me so much. I didn't know how to help them, and I felt like I removed myself out of the picture for a couple of years because I felt like I was a reminder that Nina is not there anymore. And I did that to myself. They never make me feel that way. But it was me and her. We would do chemo together. You know what I mean? And now she's
Yeah.
not around and I'm alive. I didn't know how to explain that to them. Like I wish I had answers. I wish I could tell them, even though they weren't asking me for some. So that was really tough. And I think it was a huge part of why I ended up immediately moving to Florida and left my family immediately. I was living in Connecticut with my dad at the time, and it was almost like it was everywhere. Like it was such a small town, and my friend was going to college in Florida, and I said, "Can I just go with you and be your roommate?" And my dad was not happy about it. I was like, "I'm going," and we packed his car and went. And my dad was very upset. I mean, very upset with me, and life kind of started from there for me.
Yeah. You
hmm
wow,
Yeah, it's a
Tiffany.
lot.
No, what I mean, like, wow, man. Like, so from a young age, fighting poverty, dealing
hmm
with the complicated culture of that, and the preconceived notions that others have and that you had about it,
hmm
to the family dynamic of being a child of divorce. I can relate as well
hmm
to having a diagnosis, having, first of all, having a mystery, uh, 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 you know, ailment, and not knowing what the hell's going on, to then having this diagnosis, to then being
Losing a
cancer free,
friend.
and losing your friend and having the survivor's guilt. This is heavy shit. Excuse my
hmm
language, but
And
for
then
a young
ignoring it
girl,
all, like, because I thought that was the best option. And then it really was wrestling that saved me because COVID happened, and I had moved on my own and I isolated myself in Florida, and I knew I wanted to get into. I've always wanted to have a company that's going to be called Shungite Productions, and I like
say it one more
Shungite.
time.
Shungite
Shungite.
Productions. And shungite is a stone. It's one of the strongest stones, and it can remove any toxicity from anything, from blood, all that. So I believe it's a part of my healing, and I would like to bring that into film and theater. Is why I love wrestling so much, because when I moved to Florida, I was only getting casted for the most obnoxious music videos ever, and that's where I ended up meeting one of my long time friends, who is also a wrestler right now, Layla Gray. We met each other on set of movies for Bad Boys 3, but that's what I was doing. I was doing a lot of just auditioning for movies, and I just wasn't getting the part because it has nothing to do with you sometimes. Sometimes the role can need a male in his 50s, or a young, if you're not a male in his 50s with black hair or blue eyes, then you're not getting the part, and it has nothing to do with me. So that's how it was, and I would get frustrated. So when I found, I've always loved wrestling growing up. I liked it a lot. My dad, growing up with my mom, I watched it all the time. When I moved in with my dad, he kind of cut that off. So right after the Attitude Era, I missed out on a lot. But Attitude Era prior to that, I was all in. And I remember COVID happened. My grandmother just passed, and I was very upset about that. It was my best friend, and I felt I failed her because I didn't become what I was supposed to before she passed. So I said, "This is it. I'm done. Like I'm going to take this up a notch, and maybe I need to start and go the direction of stunts." but COVID just happened. So all the acting schools closed. They're following all the rules, but guess what's not following the rules? Still trying to
The
get
carnival,
you
the
know it.
circus.
Runs 24/7, baby. In the rain, the snow, doesn't matter.
Don't matter.
And this damn wrestling ring was open. Not only were they open, they were offering the first day free, and I love free. So
Free.
I found this wrestling school, and it's really cute to say this, but I always get what I want, and it's not because I'm a brat, even though I have those tendencies. Because I don't quit, I don't
Don't
stop.
quit.
I am a child of five, or is it five? It's four, six, six. So I've learned to nag, persuade, manipulate. I've got all the skills. I have the tenacity to see it through, you know?
Yeah.
So I remember watching this video, and I'm really big on social media, huge in social media, because that is the motion of today. So I wanted to go somewhere that had a really established social media and can show me what they're doing with their students. And it was either between Gangrel School or the school called Coastal Championship Wrestling. Eventually, they ended up merging. And I ended up living in the same building as Gangrel. It was so funny. We take the elevator together. It was like a sign I was supposed to go to this school. I ended up going to this school, but before I went to school, I remember seeing the two athletes. One, his name is Jake St. Patrick, and the other one, his name is Will Austin. And I looked at this guy and I thought, these students are incredible. Gangrel wasn't posting, he was very private. So I
Yeah.
chose CCW. I was like, I want to be like this guy in this video. And 4 years later, I am dating that guy in that video. He's my boyfriend. So it's
James
just
St.
so.
Patrick?
No, no, no. Will
Austin.
Austin, the other
Will
guy.
Austin.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
sorry.
Jake St. Patrick's a great guy.
So Will Austin, you saw him perform, and now
Yes. So we've
fate
been
is
doing
funny.
our journey together. He's been working for 7 years, and I'm on my 3 years for, but it's really cool. Um it's just so, kind of cute to me to know, like, I saw him in the video, and then now he's my boyfriend, and now we're training and we're doing this school, so I know anytime I put my eye on something or I want something, I get it. But we go back to this school. Will played a huge part in inspiring me to want to step into this school and go there. And it's like everything happens for a reason. And I didn't know who was going to be my partner, but here we are, 4 years later. But I went to that school, and that's where I started training. I went with the intention of stunts, but that's when I learned. I remember, I'm going to be honest, I was a freaking not smart mark. I was like, whoa. I always thought when the boys were in the ring talking to each other, they were shit talking. I was like, I want to know what they're saying to each other so bad. I would always want to know what Eddie was saying, because he's one of the best, and he could
Yeah.
beat anyone in a match. And Eddie was very famous, not for giving away, but he was a heel, and he'd give him a little, and I'm like, I want to know what he's saying. What is he saying? I bet it's so good. And well, now I know what he's saying. But
Right.
so the first day of training, I didn't even know how it worked. I didn't want anyone to know that I was a loser, and still, I really believed everything was real 100,000%, and it is. But
It is.
I was like, how are we gonna figure this out? Like, how I might get beat up today. And
Right.
I'll never forget. It took me a couple of weeks before it hit me that I was like, that's how it works. Because it's not like they don't tell you black and white your first day, because we still let marks in the, you know how it is.
Yeah.
So I was very challenged, and it took me a while for all the light bulbs to go off of what wrestling really was and is. But when it went off, and I realized that we are making movies and telling stories from the beginning to the end, I said, I'm hooked, sink, finish. Like, this is how I can create movies. This is how I can create the character that I want to be. I don't have to listen to a director, even though we have our directors, because the second you get into the ring, that's it. You can be told anything, but when you get into the ring, it's you.
It's your
Does that make
business.
sense? I know you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I really liked that freedom, and
Yeah.
and to be able to get a little bit from the boss and then make it this big that the boss goes, we got something to work with, that, and now is taking over for months. It really fulfills the director in me a lot. So I really love wrestling. I love what can be done in the ring and what it can do for, like, movie storylines, and how it can fulfill. It definitely fulfills the artist in me.
So you're a storyteller at heart, I take it. Like that's what
I
I'm
think
getting
so, because when
the
you grow
vibe.
up on the other end, and maybe people have been on, even on the opposite end of me, but when you grow up with not being able to go outside to play, and you grow up watching film or movies, or I I thought the perfect couple was in movies. I it took me very long to this relationship I'm in now to know what it means to respect your partner, because I thought what happened in the movies, that was my education. I didn't
Yeah.
have a home that showed me what two people together look like, ever, ever. So that was interesting. I learned a lot through film. So I thought that's how life should be followed. It was my version of education. So I feel very connected to anything that's on the TV or film. I get very attached to it, and I can connect, and it definitely draws emotions for me. And it's really cool. It's something I've always liked. And one thing I really liked about wrestling too was I went to Catholic school, and it was very strict, and I couldn't go outside. So it was interesting to learn feelings I never felt when I would watch the Attitude Era and see like
Mm.
Trish Stratus come out or Shawn Michaels, and I'm like, whoa, this is different. Very hot. I'm grabbing the pillow a little tighter now. I don't know. But
Absolutely, yeah.
and that's just so cool. And the thing that was the coolest for me, it's not free now, and but it was free. Like all I
Yeah.
did was, from what I understood, getting this type of information access was free. Anyone in the world could have this. So I feel so connected, and I want to give back to people that, yeah, like now you have to pay for pay-per-views, and you still have to then. But the fact that you can turn on the TV and didn't matter where you come from, what color you are, what gender, what age you are, you can be at home and just relate to something. No, didn't matter if you're black, white, Asian. What I may like Shawn Michaels and you may like Shawn Michaels, and that is a cool thing between us. And I don't have to be from a certain part of money bracket to relate to you on what I saw on TV last week. We can be from all types of backgrounds. And that was really cool for me when I grew up feeling like I missed out on a lot because I didn't have money or these type of things. And I feel like film, art, or entertainment fills that void of you don't need to be from anything, anywhere. You just need to have the same feeling.
Yeah. Man, just people that watch your La Princesa on NWA or Mission Pro and
Hmm.
in the future, no doubt WWE,
Thank you.
uh, uh, they will see a not a lot of humility, right? And a woman that knows her worth,
Hmm.
and that can be villainized. But knowing your story, it all adds up and it makes sense. And I think it's a beautiful thing. Like, why wouldn't you? Here's somebody who, by all means, had the deck stacked against her a million
Hmm.
times over,
Hmm.
probably could have quit. Nobody would have blamed you. You know,
Yeah.
the opportunity to just say enough. I have dealt. This life has been too damn hard
Hmm.
for this small amount of years, squeezing that much life in. I'm done,
Yeah.
and no one will blame you. But you, like, your attitude, and I always say, it's so funny. I say, hard work, talent, timing. If you don't die and you don't quit, something's gonna happen. And
That's so
damn
true.
it,
It's so true, even outside of wrestling. And I have to say amen to that. And I think, like, as we're talking, I think the most important thing is what makes my character so fun in La Princesa is that kind of like villains in a super villain movie is they go through so much triumph, right? And they could have been good, but they decided that because of that triumph, this is who they are. So in life, I felt like I had no choice. I had a lot to be angry about, and this is what you know. There's a lot you don't know, and I
sure,
had a lot to be upset about. But I could either, um, I just knew I had to fake it till I make it and believe that this happened for a reason. And when I believed that, it would. But it's really cool. I never got to tap into that Joker side. So when I get to be La Princesa, all the good that you hear, I'm a cancer survivor, I'm this, I'm that, I grew up here, is all the reasons why I'm not princesa. Why I'd be damned if you think you're gonna take this from me, because I will never go back. You all hate me because you stood there, but I'll never be there. And
yeah,
it's nice, it's freeing, it's priceless because there's no price I pay for being that person. I'm in that ring. But I think it's a side that still deserves to be shown, and it's entertaining. And I think when the time is right, I will get into my role where it will be enlightening and encouraging. But I think it's very exciting right now, and I like that too. So it
yeah.
works both ways.
You have had the opportunity to uh, find meaning in the suffering. And I think when you go through hell, especially at a young age, like, it's
Mm-hmm.
you grow up fast, and then you're left with this. I know, just for me personally, I was left with, like, I'm going to prove everybody wrong. And then I forgot to prove myself right.
Oh, yeah, that's how this started. Yep.
And you get
Mm-hmm.
this toughness about you. And it's like, but at some point, that doesn't serve you as much anymore. It can only get you so far.
And that's the thing. And I felt I had to deal with that in my career. I have a lot of, I hate to say it, but there's this cute saying, ego is not your amigo. And that's just true. And you learn, there's a point, I realized that when you're so right, you're giving me goosebumps. I'll share this with you. This is really exciting. Is this live or does this come out later?
This comes out later.
Okay, but this is fine. Either way, it doesn't matter. I'll be vague with it and people can put it together as they like. There was a moment in my career, and people will later learn about, where I won a very important title. And unfortunately, my mother wasn't able to be there because I didn't know ahead of time. And I always thought you would know ahead of time. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. You just don't.
Right.
And it was a day where I had to work more than one match. Um, and I was winning a title, and it was one of the biggest moments of my life. And I'll never forget that a month prior, I thought I might win a title, and I couldn't sleep at night because I was so excited of this honor, this how hard I worked, right? So I win the title, and it felt like the most empty feeling to me because I won it in front of a bunch of strangers.
Wow.
And it made me realize for the longest time what drove me was wanting to prove that teacher wrong that said you can't read and you're never going to be able to learn, you're stupid, or that acting coach that said you'll never be able to get out of your head, you're not going to go anywhere, or that coach that said you will never make it in this business, or that mean girl that bullied me in the locker room, or that horrible person that's locked up now because of this, that. I'm going to prove them all wrong. That drove me for so long. And then when I won this title, I realized, what about me? Like, I've already proved them all wrong. And when I won the title, I didn't have, and I don't want to sound like I'm not grateful, I'm still processing how I feel about it. So when it happened, I was more disappointed because the feeling I thought I was going to feel wasn't there. And I was upset. And I didn't, and then from there, it's really been cool. I've been learning what now, like, this tough girl has been driven by proving people wrong. Now it's about proving me right. And it's a very beautiful, it's scary to prove yourself right because that means you tell yourself you are worth it, you are this,
Right.
you do deserve. And it's like, what? I've come from a place where I hide my anger, but I use that chakra, that anger chakra, to motivate me. But what happens when you've healed and you have no more anger? What is pushing you? And that was the moment that I realized when I won this significant title. I thought, I'm not angry anymore. I've got no one. I've already proved everyone wrong. You know what I mean? In fact, I'll tell you something really funny. There was a bully in the crowd the day I won that title, and he was a man. He was not even a man, a boy. but
Oh boy.
and, and he's someone in the business that I never gave any attention to, but would go anywhere and everywhere and put Tiffany Nieves this and that. And I'll never forget. I disregarded him, didn't care. But he happened to be at that show, and there's this viral video. You don't know about it, but I do because I'm from the Bronx. Cardi B is from the Bronx. She's an artist. And there's this viral video when she was young. Her teacher told her she'll never be anything but a stripper, right? This is
Right.
Cardi B. And do you know Cardi B? She's a
I
funny
do know. Of course, I know
animated
Cardi B.
character. And then Cardi B is now on a TV show doing well off. And this teacher is there and brought tickets to see her. And she stops the
Wow.
show and says, Miss, let's give her Garcia. I don't know her name. Miss Garcia, what are you doing here? Wasn't it you that told me that I'll be nothing but a stripper? And look at you now, ho. Sorry, I'm saying that.
Yeah, yeah,
Paying to watch me. Pay. So I'm not gonna lie. When I won this title, I saw this, and he was really mean. Not everyone gets attention from me, but I never knew why this person was mean to me. I saw him in the crowd. I grabbed that title and I said, "Look, wasn't it you that told me I'd never make it in wrestling? And look at you now, ho! Pay to watch me." And when this airs later on, you'll see
Yep.
in the episode, I take a second on the hard camera, then I hit hard right, and I just go right to that person, yell, and I go right back. And that was the moment that really showed, I have to be honest, that I am driven by proving people wrong. And, it's I turned it into a positive, but there is
Yep.
a point where it can become a negative because you still
Hmm.
have to prove yourself right. So you've never been more right when you just said that comment. And I'm going to tell you that I'm in the process of learning that about myself, which is the news. I can't. Yeah, so we're working with that feeling.
I'm right there with you. Really, I am. You said your
I'm competitive.
parents,
I'm from New York. I'm gonna make you
right?
eat your words.
You think? You
Yeah,
think? I know you said your parents, from coming from a family of divorce, and
I do want to
uh,
correct you though, just because I know my
sorry,
family in particular. They were never married,
never married. I
unfortunately.
apologize.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But it's
From
similar. Yeah.
two separate homes,
Yes.
and I know for me growing up, they couldn't have been more different. And it sounds the same for you. And you made some controversial decisions in the eyes of your parents. Where are
Mhm.
they now with what you're
Best
doing
friends
with your
ever for
life?
me. They're not best friends with each other, but they
Right.
are my best friends. And it's so funny. I was just talking to him before I got on the phone with you. I talk to my dad and my mom every single day. My dad
It's
flew
awesome.
out when I won my Mission Pro title. My mom, they've been there to see me win the Shine title, OVW title, the Mission Pro title. Not the OVW title. I didn't know I was winning that. But any title I knew I was winning, my parents are there. They support me. I remember the way I did grow up. I probably wouldn't have been supported being a wrestler maybe from my father. My dad is my number one fan, supports me no matter what. There have been times where I probably wouldn't have made it to the next town, and my dad was like, "Here, go!" Like he
Yeah.
believed in me. My dad rather me ask him for money than sell an 8x10
Right.
with
Right.
me. So 100%. My parents are not in this frame of you're being delusional, wasting your time, and that can be tough when you're my age. All my sisters are married, have kids, and own houses. Me and Will
Mm.
are celebrating that we moved into an apartment, because
Yeah.
when you're a restaurant in the Indies, it's really hard to settle down in one spot. So it's different, and having the support from my family is the most important thing. So I have a really good, awesome relationship with my dad, and I think that really began after I began Remission. And my mom and I have always been super, super close because I grew up with my mom and lived with her originally first, and it wasn't until I was a teenager I moved with my dad. But
So so you I mean the future's bright for you, Tiffany. I
thank
I,
you.
I know you believe that. You have
I
to.
do. I have to.
And I just wonder, this is a industry that is built on um, almost being a real life superhero, larger than life. And people, they always say, paying to see their next door neighbor. But what I'm kind of doing here is um, flipping that on its head a little bit, because behind the armor, you're a person who's gone through hell, who's survived it, who's battle hardened, has the scars to prove it, and is a BMF, and just like and it
Oh,
shows
you make me
in your
so you.
performance.
I've been enjoying this because I gave you a 15 minutes and we are like
I,
an hour,
I'm
and I noticed, but I'm like, he's just great.
I just wanted to say, like,
No,
I
what you're doing here, limping ain't easy. I'm so inspired by you because you have a story too. I don't know if you've shared it yet, but your title for the show says your story. You know what I mean? And I am a huge fan of that. So there's not everyone that I mean, I've talked and opened up about who I am behind La Princesa to one person, and
yeah.
that made the Sports Illustrated article. I have a
Wow.
Sports Illustrated article. So I don't go with everyone and tell them this story, because I work so hard for La Princesa, but you make a valid point. This person also deserves, this human deserves to share her story. I'm very picky. I don't want it to be overpolluted because this person means so much to me. So it does mean so much to me that with what you're doing that I could also share it. This is one of the first interviews. You will not see many interviews or any conversations where I talk like this. I'm usually telling someone where they can get it, got it bueno, and stick it up there all the time. But I
Yeah.
compromised. I wore a shirt that said
Yeah.
it.
So and I'm really honored. I am. Get it, got it bueno, get the shirt too.
Yes, and I'm always in a dress, but I said, you know what? Let's just be Tiffany, but
Let's
still
be
get it, got
Tiff.
it. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. I
yes.
mean, I really am honored that you, because uh
And
you
let's talk about the challenge of the fact that like I decided, kind of like Mickie James, to use my real name. So sometimes it's hard when you get
mm,
home. I'm Tiffany Nieves, and I chose that, but sometimes I wish I didn't for many reasons. I'm sure you understand.
yes.
Um, And then even for the mental commitment that I do to this character is why
Right.
I wish I didn't, choose the same name. But I told myself, man, if I'm taking those bumps, if I'm taking the beating, if I charge it to the game, when they cheer, I want to hear my name. And when they
Charge it to
boo,
the
I want to hear
game.
my name. So it was
Yeah.
like a selfish ego move, but
Hell yeah.
there's a payoff too with it, you know. But there is can be a challenge because I'm. It's like, what Tiffany Nieves do you want to see today, or
Right.
give, or share, or expose? You know.
Well, there's something to be said to being a dynamic human being.
Mm,
No, nobody is one thing,
yeah.
and the fact that you are brash, confident, la princesa when that red light is on,
Yeah.
but in your life off screen, you have one of the most amazing stories
Thank
in
you.
the industry, no doubt about it. I have no doubt about it. I've
I
been through hell. I know what hell looks like. I know a real recognize real, and
Amen. Thank you. And we do such a good job making it look like we are just great and dandy. And we are. We're
there
lucky.
you are.
We are the lucky ones. I will say that.
Absolutely. I think like what's so and when Mickie told me about like the Reader's Digest about your story, because she
Yeah.
knows like that's that lights me up because of I can relate. So I go, I
Yeah.
love hearing somebody who is just defied
It
what
was
fate
so
would be.
exciting. I even, you
Yeah.
just reminded me, one of the biggest highlights, well, one of the many highlights was being mentioned in the PWI One to Watch. Maybe that was, but I would love to send you the Sports Illustrated article. It's
Please.
really touching. That was the most open I've ever got. It was, and he did, Adam is his name. He did an incredible job bringing everything to light. And I made sure to even mention Mickie too, because I'm telling you, even when I text her, I get a little nervous and shy because I have no idea how to carry. She'll ask me, "How am I doing?" And I don't even know how to answer it. I'm like, well, "What do you want me to tell you? The truth, the not truth? Do you want me to work it? Are you going to help me? You want to call? You want to be best friends? You want to go to the movies? What are we doing?" And I'm like, and I'm like, relax. She's just being polite. Like, maybe she doesn't really want the answer. Like, give her all. I was like, but I want the conversation to carry. What do I do? I don't know how to talk to her, but I always want her to know that thank you, thank you, thank you. That's all I ever want to say is like, thank you as
Yeah.
much as possible.
Well, you the thing that I'm not sure you may realize it. I don't want to underestimate because your wisdom and level is very advanced for an industry where we play cowboys and Indians for
Yes, yes,
for
yes. Thank you. Thank you.
the fact of the matter is like there's somebody out there, not just somebody, but somebody's going through it, whether it's a
Mm.
similar situation or somebody whose family member is going through it and they're at the end of the rope. And Tiffany Nieves, your story is the answer that they've been waiting to hear. Heavy responsibility. What would you say to somebody going through something similar, if not the same situations that you have survived, endured,
I,
overcome?
so believe it or not, I get a lot of messages, and I
I
do my
believe it.
best to respond to them as much as possible. But it's really simple. It's really not, but it really can be simple. I tell everyone always to stay beautiful because people will tell you, I love you. People can say, I'll pray for you. People can say all these things, but what can you do with that? And it's hard to tell someone you just met, I love you, I want to pray for you, all these things. But telling someone to stay beautiful is such a deep meaning for me. And that's kind of how we were able to raise a lot of money because I made bracelets that say stay beautiful when I was sick and they sold. And stay beautiful to me wasn't about an outside thing, it was about an inside thing. Stay beautiful means waking up and choosing to make the better choice every day. So there's going to be days that are hard, that want to bring out your shadow, your monster. You want to give up, you want to feel like the victim, right? But you're not. You're the prize. You're whatever you're going through and working through is building you to be the most beautiful person you can be. So in this process, just stay beautiful. You're not trying to be something. You're not aiming to be perfect. You already are. So just stay it. Be like staying beautiful is reminding someone that whether you believe in God or not, where you are today and right now, you have every tool you could ever need. You think you want more, you think you don't have enough, you think you have less, you're waiting for tomorrow. No, today, right now, if you needed more, you would have it. If you needed less, it would be taken from you. If you were supposed to die, you'd be dead. What's going to happen will be, but you have everything already within you that you need. And I like to say God has given it, but if you don't believe in God, I'd like to tell people like anything you need would never not be with you. So just stay beautiful. That's what I like to tell people. And that's what it means.
We're not like that's what a message.
Yes.
Tiffany Nieves, can you give us um your social media handles and where to watch you, where to see you? I mean, there's like a million places to see you. You're booked
Right. Too many.
everywhere.
We'll narrow it down. So right now, I would tell everyone make sure you get a Twitter, make a Twitter account, because right now all my best matches are the NWA, and we're streaming every Tuesday at 6:05 on Twitter X. We're the only promotion doing that, so you have no excuses, and it's free, okay? Now you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Tiffany Nieves _. And I love to chat with you guys, so I encourage everyone to send me a DM, tag me your photos. I love to repost it. And also, I would say if you want to make it a little more personal, I have a Cameo. So you could just type in Tiffany Nieves, get a birthday wish for me, and I love doing those. It's my favorite things to do. Or come
Uh,
to a show. If you're in
Come
the
to a
Texas
show.
area, I am recently working with Booker T as well, and I am doing reality wrestling twice a month. So here at the Texas Arena, if you want to see me live or anywhere on tour at NWA, I highly encourage those are two spots you can catch me.
If you don't know, you better ask somebody, and you will find out soon because there is no stopping this dynamic, motivational, absolutely confident and should be La Princesa Tiffany Nieves. You have honored me with your story
Oh,
here,
thank you.
and every bit of success that comes your way. Uh, there is no deserve. You've earned it.
Yeah, I thank you. And you know what? I want to see you at one of my shows soon. We gotta
I'm
make
your
this
biggest
happen. I'd
fan.
love to see you again. Thank
You
you.
will. You will.
Yes.
La Princesa Tiffany Nieves, thank you so much. Can I say it or do you want to say it?
Let's say it together.
Okay, let's do it. Ready?
Wait, first, before I say it, you
Okay.
better freaking subscribe to this channel. Tell them what your channel is right now.
LiMPiN AiNT Easy on YouTube.
Now
Do
we
it.
say it together. Get it?
Get it?
Got it?
Got it.
Bueno.
Oh,
You said it better than me. I love it.
thank you, darling. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I ended up going to this school, but before I went to school, I remember seeing the two athletes. One, his name is Jake St. Patrick, and the other one, his name is Will Austin. And I looked at this guy and I thought, these students are incredible. Gangrel wasn't posting, he was very private. So I chose CCW. I was like, I want to be like this guy in this video. And 4 years later, I am dating that guy in that video. He's my boyfriend. So
James St.
so,
Patrick?
No. Will Austin. The other
Will
guy.
Austin.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
sorry.
Jake St. Patrick's a great guy.